All right. Hello. Welcome to the Working Title Podcast, a podcast that may never be named, but we're going to work with it. So we started our Bloody Christmas podcast series where we talk about all the Quentin Tarantino movies from 1 through 8, kind of in a weird order because we started with Pulp Fiction, and now we're going to do Reservoir Dogs. But first off, I'm your host, Seamus McMahon. Welcome. And today I'm joined yet again by Josh. How you doing, bud?
Great.
Awesome. So why don't we dive directly into it, since we started with Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
Which I think it's Quentin Tarantino's like most popular movie.
Talking about Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs is up there though.
It's up there, but I think like
as far as like mainstream and like
yeah,
in general pop culture, I think Pulp Fiction definitely has made a bigger footprint on the culture.
Yeah.
But
I don't see a lot of posters of Reservoir Dogs or Jackie Brown, especially.
Film aficionados or Tarantino aficionados, I feel like Reservoir Dogs is definitely like on top of the list though.
Yeah.
Pretty high.
Yeah.
It's a classic for sure.
Very much a classic because there's so many different scenes. Like you were just watching the opening scene.
Which is so goddamn funny.
Yeah.
So good.
It's like one of the best opening scenes I think I've ever seen.
Oh, talking about Like a Virgin, talking about Big John Holmes looking motherfucker. Big dick motherfucker. Just, it's insane that somebody could conceive dialogue so interesting.
Yeah.
To me.
Like hugely interesting.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've watched a couple different videos on YouTube from like, Now You See It, and there's another one like Folding Ideas. These are YouTube channels, by the way, that are really, really good. And they do like video essays on movie sort of ideas and stuff like that. And they talk about like opening scenes and how that really gives you an idea as to what the movie's going to be about. And if I'm remembering that scene correctly, you can get all of the different personalities of all the different characters sitting at that table in that, like, what is it, 10, 15 minute scene?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And you can almost already pick out who is like the cop, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really fucking good, especially since this was Quentin Tarantino's like first solo directing.
When he was still working at the fucking video store, dude.
Yeah. Man. To think that like somebody working a dead end job could just write something like this.
I mean, it almost
and get money to make it.
It's like motivation though, in a way, to just be in that shitty situation, and you're like, this is, if I don't like do something with this gift that I've been given, then this is the type of fate that I'm resigned to.
Right.
So it's cool that it, but I mean, obviously Tarantino is a fucking virtuoso. I mean, to be able to write it, and I heard that he doesn't even do a lot of improv. I hear that it's like you pretty much, if you're going to do a Tarantino movie, you stick to the script. Really? Yeah. I heard that he's like pretty strict about that. Huh. I don't know if it's always been like that. I'm sure there's maybe some improv, but it's impressive to me that, because it feels, all his dialogue, especially in that opening scene we were just discussing, it feels so natural to me. Right. Like all the nuances and the ups and downs of it, everything just feels like an actual conversation. Right. It doesn't feel like, what, sometimes you watch movies, even good movies, and the dialogue, you're like, I can tell that they're reading this off a page. Right. There's just a certain way. And I don't know. Tarantino is just a fucking beast. Yeah, I think there's a couple different people out there that have that kind of skill to like write dialogue, to write really, really good dialogue, especially to make it sound like real conversation. Like you were saying, that situation feels real. Yeah. You can imagine like how many, like 8 people sitting around a diner table and like having a conversation over what a Madonna song means, and at the same time you can have like, oh man, what's a really bad example of bad dialogue? Yeah, like Hunger Games sort of stuff, where it's just like dolls talking to each other basically, I've never seen it, but they're not good. I'll take your word for it. But just like action movie stuff, like you said, where they're just reading off a script. Yeah, and you can tell. Yeah, there's no like subtext behind it or anything, or they're trying to be like super heavy-handed, like in the last Batman versus Superman. It's like his mother's name is Martha, but then also Batman's mother's name is Martha, and that's their connecting moment or something like that. My mother's name is Martha. Yeah, also. It was really, really bad.
It was so fucking
That's a
bad.
funny thing that happens in life every once in a while, where it's like, it's an opportunity to connect, but you can't really connect over it. Like, oh, my, somebody meets you and they're like, oh, my fucking cousin's name is also Josh. You're like, oh,
Right.
cool. What a coincidence.
Yeah. Like, oh man, that's so important to know.
Yeah.
You know?
What it is, it's just a genuine attempt to connect,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work.
Right. Which I think, I don't know. I think this movie has something that no other movie has that I've ever seen. That's like a personality without having too many characters, you know? Because there's a lot of characters, but you don't see them all at one time, except for in the opening scene,
Yeah.
you know? So like every character has their moment. Mr. Orange has his moment throughout the entire movie, and then
Yeah.
towards the end, and Mr. White has his entire
Yeah.
like thing going on. Like every character has an arc.
Yeah, that's
you
what's
know,
so good about it.
It's so fucking
Well, I
good.
mean, not that one thing, but that's
Right.
definitely one of the aspects that makes it really good.
Yeah.
Is you
Like-
want to see that.
And then it's also like you're trying to figure out a mystery almost.
Yeah.
It's like there's somebody on the team that's a cop,
Yeah.
you know, or snitched or something. So you're trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And that's
it's
cool. That's
so
like
fucking good.
another piece of great writing where it's like you're making the viewer in like they're actually thinking.
Yeah, like super intrigued in the story by
Yeah.
itself. I think that's
Yeah.
really hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a way, that's different than a movie like Pulp Fiction, where there's not really, you're not trying to put together as much mystery. You're kind of just
Right.
along for the ride, along for the wave, and then you think about it later, or you know, when you've seen it a couple times, then you start to put the pieces together
Yeah.
more thoroughly. But yeah, Reservoir Dogs is, like you said, just the fact that you're trying to solve the mystery along, and you want to know, you want that resolution, so you're like
Yeah.
strapped in, but you're also thinking. That's what another thing that makes it great.
Hell yeah, and it's got some great scenes too. Like
Oh,
the
for
big
sure.
opening scene, and then the one where Michael Madsen is dancing to what's that song? That clowns to the next left of me, jokers to the right.
Yeah,
Here I am.
yeah.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like cutting the dude's ear off.
I
Oh,
love
it's so
Michael
fucking
Madsen,
good.
dude.
He's
He's so good in that.
yeah, he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, he's good
It's-
in that shit, dude.
It's really cool to see how like Quentin Tarantino's made this like group of people
I
that he
know.
always makes
I
movies
love
with.
that.
Yeah.
The legends kind of do that. Like Scorsese, you find
Yeah.
that he uses the same.
Robert
people.
De Niro in every single movie.
And even I guess this is to a lesser extent, but a crew that you definitely see that with is like Seth Rogen
Yes.
and all of his boys, like that Freaks and Geeks
Mhm.
kind of crew. Great show too, by the way. Freaks and
Never
Geeks.
seen it.
Oh, super
Never
good
seen
show.
it.
But
Here it's good.
yeah, Judd Apatow directed that. You know that?
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah,
That's insane.
yeah.
I don't like him a lot, but he's
You don't like Judd Apatow?
No, not really. I'm not into that like improv comedy
Oh no.
sort of
That's
style,
why we're
especially in
talking about
movies.
Tarantino,
Yeah,
'cause he
exactly.
Fucking master.
Hell yeah. I like
Not
people
sure.
that put effort into writing something, you
Yeah.
know. It's still good if you can
It's
do
just
it
not your
right.
shit. It's
Yeah.
not for you.
Like Will Ferrell's great.
Yeah.
Not in every movie, but there's like times, you
Yeah,
know.
there's definitely has his moments for sure.
Yeah.
Anchorman is pretty good.
Hell yeah.
That was
It's really
what
fucking
else?
good.
But anyway, so back to Tarantino.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that he's kind of kept those same characters around for so long. I think Michael Madsen does a really good job in Hateful Eight.
Yes. Really good job.
He's fucking good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fucking cool to see these directors that make a world
Yeah.
out of their like collective works, where Reservoir Dogs is the beginning, and you've got, what is it, the cigarettes, the red apple cigarettes that start in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Michael Madsen's character his name is something Vega, which is makes him Vincent Vega's brother in
Oh,
Pulp
shit.
Fiction, and there's something else that connects, like the cars or something like that.
I didn't even realize this. You're telling me you're giving me new knowledge.
Yeah, and it goes through all the movies,
Wow,
like through
no shit.
Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, She Smokes, Red Apple Cigarettes, and even into like all of them. Fuck, I'm forgetting the name of Inglourious Bastards.
Mhm.
They have Red Apple Cigarettes in Germany. You know,
Yeah.
it's insane to see how Quentin Tarantino has made this world and is telling all these different stories within this world,
Yeah.
but they all feel very centralized in their own way, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, it's really cool.
Yeah. Absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
So, what are some of your other favorite scenes?
Ooh,
Skeins.
I really like how did the movie opens with the diner scene, right?
Yes.
And then it cuts immediately to Mr. White and Mr. Orange driving in the car, right? I love that scene because it's like the most pure part of the movie where it's these two characters and you can see the dynamic between them, where Mr. White has taken Mr. Orange under his wing and is like trying to get him through this situation. Mr. Orange is like writhing around in the back dying, shot up, and it's like super bloody and gory. It's fucking amazing. I love that scene. It's the best.
See, that's another motif that he took in Pulp Fiction too, you know?
Yeah.
One guy's bloody in the backseat and fucking...
Yeah, like super... I think it's the same car too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looks... I think it's exactly the same car because the interior is all white, which really matches well with red.
Yes.
It's just fucking good.
Yes.
Super bloody.
It's a great scene where, Michael Madsen's character, I'm not sure,
I think he's Mr. Brown?
Mr. Tie-Dye.
Yeah, I can't remember. Or he's Mr. Blue, I think.
Okay.
I think that's
but
it.
He's torturing fucking the cop
in
all sorts of sick and demented ways. It's almost like
pouring gasoline on him, like ripping his head around.
Somehow Tarantino has this way of like making violence like very palatable.
Right.
You notice that? It's like you're watching something.
I guess so.
It's done. He does it in such a way where you don't feel like, oh, I'm watching something fucked up right now. Like you're totally just along for the ride. It's like watching a good comedian. You don't really think about it. You're just along for what they're saying, and you're just kind of like, in a small sense, like hypnotized. The good ones will like put you in that trance state where you're like just on that fucking ride with them. And I feel like Tarantino does that with the violence super well. Oh,
definitely.
I never feel like, oh, I'm looking at something fucked up, even though it looks authentic. You know?
Right. Yeah. I think Reservoir Dogs is probably the most.
Be careful.
No, Jackie Brown is the most tame, like violence wise, I think, because there's not a lot of blood in Jackie Brown.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks. I think there could have been more.
Oh, you want to see more?
Yeah, I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that lady's story because that's very interesting. But Reservoir Dogs is definitely like the second tamest, I would say.
Yeah.
Because other than like cutting the ear off and dancing around in the blood and the opening scene and all that, there's like not much else that's like hyper violent going on. But in Pulp Fiction, there's blood and shooting people up and all that sort of stuff.
Raped and shit.
Yeah, it's like really, really gory and stuff like that. But Reservoir Dogs, it keeps it segmented, and it's really nice.
Yeah. But it's that's.
You get like breathers, and you get.
Yeah, that's true. It is
history.
It's like a great classical piece, like a piece of classical music, like Beethoven or Bach or Chopin, or something, where you just. What happened?
There's a lizard climbing on like the newspaper thing that I've got, and he's like hung around it completely with his arms like around it, and he's sliding
Is he
down.
Translucent?
No, he's like brown. It's like a green color.
Okay, I'm seeing something different.
It's really fucking funny. He's just kind of hanging there.
Just hanging out, dude. He's doing his thing.
Oh, sorry about that.
What were you saying? I forgot.
I don't remember.
Fucking lizard.
Goddamn lizard, you're making a bunch of noises. Oh well.
But yeah. So what would you rate the movie?
Oh man, I would rate this movie. I'd give it an 8.5.
An 8.5?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a solid 8.5. I really like it. I think the music that he uses in it is fantastic. The story's really good. The way that he's written everything, even like writing a story within the story.
Yes.
You know, Mr. Orange's story of like the drug dog and all that.
Yeah, that's
fucking fantastic.
Love that story.
Yeah, but I think it takes a good writer to be able to write a secondary story that gets told near the end and make that like convincing that character conveyed that story to these other characters and was able to like roll into it.
Inventive. I wonder how he edits himself. Like, you know, I would love to know the process of Quentin Tarantino on the way to the final draft of the script. Yeah. If it's like he's just, God, does he have an outline of how everything's gonna go and then right around that, or is it like you writing shit then it's just, oh, well, I could go this other direction as well? I would really be curious to know that. Right. Because it seems like just next level if you could craft a story that way.
Yeah. It seems it. I have no idea, but it seems like he writes from beginning to end and just kind of lets it go.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks really cool. So what do you think? What would you give this one?
I would give it a 9.3.
Really?
I like it a lot. I've seen it so many goddamn times, and that's for a reason.
Yeah.
When it's on, I'm tuned. So yeah, I'll give
It's
it
hard to find now.
Huh?
It's hard to find now. Like it was on Netflix for a while, but now it's
Motherfuckers, man.
not anywhere. It might be on Amazon. I haven't looked there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give it a 9.3. It's one of the classics.
Hell yeah.
If you haven't watched it, get your fucking life together and go watch it pretty quick.
It's a fucking good movie.
You'll enjoy it, dude.
Hell
it's
yeah.
really great.
Definitely. So that's going to be episode 2 for our Bloody Christmas.
Bang.
We already talked about Pulp Fiction. This is Reservoir Dogs. Which one do you want to do next?
I don't know.
We got a bunch of different options.
We got Jack and Brian.
Yeah. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah,
I think that sounds good.
I like it.
Yeah. Cuz that's a very interesting one.
Yeah.
It's a fun one. I want to watch it again.
We'll do it.
Yeah. All right. So that's Bloody Christmas episode 2. Thank you for listening to the Working Title Podcast. Go listen to Lost in Phoenix podcast. I'm saying that very like quizzically. Like go listen, maybe. But go and listen to the Lost in Phoenix podcast if you want to hear any more of our voices talking about a little bit more serious
more of
topics.
Our musings.
Yeah. And maybe we'll be introducing somebody new. Maybe.
Ooh.
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, thank you for listening to this podcast. We'll catch you next time when we talk about Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown.
All right. Bye.